Chapter 6 Development Process. The company needs not stay still. There are internal drives for the company to change its offering. For example, found bugs by developers, admins, QA, or internal users. Theirs need to be fixed or accepted as a risk, of course. There are also external changes, such as changes in browsers, for example, or found bugs by external users. Very few people are using old version of the Internet Explorer, for example. A company will need to make a decision about what is supported and what is not. Some of the bugs may be accepted and the company will decide that it will lose revenue by the user, for example, that may use old versions of browser software, but the company may decide to fix an important security issue, for example, because it ruins the company reputation as a reliable vendor to deal with. Another example is becoming obsolete when the products or services are no longer needed. It's time to rethink a business model. For example, vinyl records got replaced by cassette tapes even though vinyl records offered superior quality of sound. Not many people needed it. Cars were made with the tape players. It was possible to find cassette players in the stores. The whole industry was there. Very soon vinyl records became extinct, but the tapes remained. Who cares if the tape does not have the same quality of audio as a record? Only audiophiles would. Perhaps they would not listen to a record in the car, but the majority of people would. It was possible to store multiple tapes in a car, but it was not possible with the records. Tapes got replaced by MP3 players. Some people would argue that compression of audio makes it bad to listen, but who cares if it's in a car, where there are a lot of noise anyway? People, at least in the US, spend a lot of time in their cars. They have to drive long distances, and the convenience of switching tapes and later MP3s made a lot more sense than vinyl or record tapes. Subscription, at least in the US, made a lot of sense when it was introduced. A person does not need to pay per album, but he would pay monthly instead. He or she would have access to the entire collection of music, instead of what is stored in the MP3 player. When the payments stop, so does the service. This is a business model in a nutshell. A person would have access to many songs and music when he or she is paying for the service, but that person would not have access when the payments have stopped. Record tapes, MP3, and later subscription made a lot of sense for listeners of music. There are threats to the business you own or participate now. Are there threats in that may be replaced? What are they? What can you do to change the course of becoming obsolete and not needed? The last one is a personal question, and only you, a reader of this book, can answer this one.